Hey, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. I hope you are watching this real time and you're a patron on our Patreon page. If so, thank you very much for your support. If you're watching it on YouTube real time because you've subscribed to our YouTube channel, thank you very much. If you have a Twitch account and an Amazon Prime account, you can link them together and we'll get paid that way as well. So you can do that in addition to supporting us on Patreon or subscribing on YouTube. Any way you can help us get paid. Otherwise, Shane's going to have to go get a job and our lights are going out. From SIFTD, from Kevin, PlayStation's Jim Ryan just said that Sony is not finished acquiring new studios. Any ideas which developers it will target? Is it smart for Sony, for PlayStation to make more acquisitions? Will there ever be a tipping point where it no longer makes sense? I probably can't name everybody that they don't own that has made PlayStation exclusive games. But if you look at the studios that they have acquired recently, as you go through all their games, it's like, the ones that they haven't bought, Kojima's Productions didn't get purchased. But Insomniac did Spider-Man. I'm trying to think of the others. They bought Sony, what do you call it? Uncharted guys.
Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog. They bought Naughty Dog a few years ago. They bought the God of War studio about 10 years ago. They bought the MLB studio about 10 years ago. So their practice has been get PlayStation exclusive games and then buy the studio. And I think that's been really smart. I mean, the first one they bought was Polyphony Digital that makes Gran Turismo. And I guess they bought Naughty Dog a while ago, but that tends to be their style. Oh, they bought Media Molecule, a few years after Little Big Planet came out. So they're really good at that. So I think the best thing to do, I encourage you to do a search because I'm not going to do it to answer this question. Just go to Wikipedia and go look up all Sony PlayStation exclusives and just highlight all those studios and see who owns them. Because if there's anybody left, that's next. They famously did not buy Activision. They famously did not buy Bethesda. They famously did not buy any of the 5 or 6 studios that Microsoft bought before. And, theoretically, if Microsoft was talking to those guys, they offered themselves up to Sony. So I don't know that there's any large independent studios left that are really good, that are affordable. Clearly, you could buy Valve. Clearly, they could buy EA or Ubisoft or Take-Two, but I don't think that they're going to do that. Independent studios, the other guys that I can think of, Warner Brothers bought a bunch of them. Rocksteady, who makes Arkham Asylum, and Traveler's Tales, TT Games, who does all the Lego Batman, Shadows of Mordor, NetherRealm, that makes Mortal Kombat. I think if Sony were really smart, they make a move for Warner Brothers Interactive. But the Warner Brothers Interactive isn't worth, full price without the rights to exploit the DC Comics franchises. So it's an open question whether Warner Brothers, is willing to fix the license that is paid for those properties to $5 million a year or $50 million a year, some number that's manageable, and commit that they will have a perpetual renewal. If you can't make Warner Brothers properties like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and DC Comics, then it doesn't really make sense to buy Warner Brothers Interactive. There are brands there that are really good, like Mortal Kombat, Injustice, but Injustice has DC characters. But they're about the only ones I can think of out there that are sizable and nominally are for sale. The other guys, Bungie, obviously they just bought. Respawn got purchased. I can't think of any. Jade Raymond just got purchased. What I think is actually interesting is, Zynga's experimenting right now. They're making a game called Star Wars Hunters, and it's a crossover mobile and Switch game, and it would be on all consoles, but EA has the exclusive PlayStation and Xbox rights to Star Wars, that which expire I think in 2024 or 2025. So Zynga's doing a Star Wars game to kind of prove that they can, and Take-Two buying Zynga, Take-Two's going to definitely go after that license as well. But the idea that there's mobile crossover to console maybe there's a mobile studio out there that makes sense. And there are really a lot of good mobile studios out there. So, you don't know. And I'm not sure where Sony thinks it's going. It's obviously beefing up PlayStation Plus and going after streaming market and stuff. So there really could be some tech acquisitions as well. There's a lot of little guys who make VR type games, which might be interesting for Sony as well because they have PlayStation VR. But I think they pretty much finished buying all the big guys, and so the rest of them are going to be one hit guys who make Among Us or other mobile hits that have some potential to extend to console. So I hope that is responsive. Will there ever be a tipping point where it no longer makes sense? Yeah, when the PlayStation goes away. I think that I said something a month or so ago about PlayStation being gone in 10 years. And, I say this stuff for effect, not because I actually believe it. I think that with Microsoft's acquisition of Activision, assuming that it goes through, Game Pass becomes a really interesting option instead of buying a console for $400 and then buying a game a year for $60. If you think that through, after 5 years you spent $700, and for $180 a month after 5 years on Game Pass you spent $900, and you've gotten Xbox Live and you've gotten dozens if not hundreds of games. So I think that Game Pass is priced right, and I think that you're probably going to get people saying, why do we need a console in the first place? And so my comment on Sony not having a PlayStation in 10 years is just that you won't need one. I mean, we might still have them, of course. I know people who still have DVD players. I know people who still have VCRs and CD players. You don't need them, but you can still buy one, and you can still buy CDs, and you can still play CDs in your house. But we all have Spotify, so fewer people buy CDs every year. That's what's going to happen to PlayStation. So it doesn't make sense to own the studio unless they own the content to support a streaming service. Now, their initial purchases are to support the PlayStation hardware, but I think they're going to end up having to follow Microsoft's lead and support the streaming service. And so I don't think the PlayStation itself is going to exist in 10 years as we know it. I do think PlayStation Plus will exist as a streaming service, and I think that much like Spotify, much like Netflix for film, and Netflix has plenty of competitors, we're going to have at least two competitors in game streaming. And so studio acquisitions will be super relevant for Sony to beef up its product offering and make sure that it can create enough content to keep a subscriber happy with the streaming service. So sure, they're going to keep buying stuff. And I actually think you'll get a proliferation of studios and demand for content with these streaming services. People are going to want more. And so, we got an announcement the other day. We're bringing back Max Payne 1 and 2. And Remedy is working on it, and I assume it's just remastered for PS5. But it's like we want to play those games. Once we're in a streaming world, you don't really need them remastered. That you can, but you basically just need them written in code that the streaming server can deliver. So I don't know how people react to playing Max Payne 1, which is like a 2001 or so, 2002 game. I loved it, by the way, one of my favorites. If you're a Patreon patron, we do appreciate it. Shane needs some help, so if you guys can find an extra $1 a month or two, please up your contribution. If you're subscribing on YouTube, thank you very much. Again, Shane can use it. I hate to see the guy, starve to death, and then he can't even afford. And by the way, his gas just to get to my house had to cost him like $12 today, just to get here, maybe 15. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. If you're a Twitch member and an Amazon Prime member, please link those accounts. The instructions on how to do that are in the show description below. And if you're doing none of those things just because you're lame and you can't help yourself, follow me on Twitter. Give me a hard time, @MichaelPachter. I'll see you next time. I'll give you a Max Payne tip. There's right near the end, there's this radio tower, and in order for you to accomplish the final mission, you have to topple the radio tower, and there's a cable holding it, And I went up to that thing with a shotgun and I shot it point blank, and it wouldn't destroy. So I spent about an hour in the game trying to figure out how to topple it without cutting that cable. And I finally gave up, and I went online to look at how to break the cable. I mean, how to topple the tower. And they're like, oh, you shoot the cable from far away with a sniper rifle. Because a sniper rifle will break a cable, but a shotgun at point blank won't. So dumb. And I think I shot it with every weapon I had. I just didn't shoot it because I was shooting at point blank. I didn't shoot it with a sniper rifle. So that's one of the glitches in the game, which I doubt they will fix.